Good morning, and welcome to the 106th commencement of Rosalind Franklin University of Medicine and Science. The commencement will begin with an introduction from the President and CEO of Rosalind Franklin University of Medicine and Science, Dr. Wendy Rowe.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Wendy Rowe, President and CEO of Rosalind Franklin University. Welcome to our 106th commencement ceremony. We gather today around a virtual stage to celebrate and to encourage our graduates who soon will use their training to serve our nation during these very turbulent times. Commencement is one of our community's most beloved traditions. It endures despite pandemic, economic downturn, and other times of crisis because it embodies our care for one another in our faith in our mission of service, education, and research. RFU class of 2020, you've earned a special place in our history. You're the first class to attend a virtual commencement ceremony. But more importantly, you're the first graduates since World War II to join the healthcare and the biomedical professions at a time of global crisis. I know that you are all up to the challenge. You're uniquely prepared to battle the spread of a disease that can only be stopped through teamwork and collective action. Our model of interprofessional education has prepared you to collaborate and to reach across the professions. Working together, we can transform the challenge posed by an unforgiving virus into a new culture of wellness. We can help build a better system of healthcare and public health. We can break down disparities in access to care. Health, wellness, and prevention should be the rule among all communities, and disease the exception. As you enter your professions that are on the cusp of great change, have faith in your training and find strength in each other. I speak for our entire university when I say I'm so very proud of each and every one of you. Warmest congratulations. And now please welcome Dr. Nancy Parsley, our Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs.
Good morning. It is my great pleasure to welcome you, your family and friends, as well as the entire RFU community to this year's commencement. We all wish you success and fulfillment as you begin your professional lives in extraordinary times. Our nation needs your skills, caring, dedication, and commitment now more than ever before. Rosalind Franklin University, like institutions across the country, has had to make bold decisions over the last several months as the scope of the coronavirus pandemic has grown. You and your fellow students have been at the heart of those decisions, which are driven first and foremost by our desire to prioritize your health and safety and that of our university community and region. At a time when you might have relaxed and enjoyed the tailwind of your many years of hard work and success, you instead have managed the stress of uncertainty and have stayed the course. You have modeled the reality of leadership. It's not always easy to do what is right, to maintain vision and courage in difficult times. The relationships you forged as students at Rosalind Franklin University will sustain you throughout your personal and professional lives. Your care and concern for one another and for those most at risk will continue to inspire us as we work together to meet every challenge to health and well-being. Always remember that Rosalind Franklin University and its network of more than 20,000 alumni stand behind you. We believe in you. Again, congratulations on all that you have accomplished. I now have the pleasure of introducing our selected 2020 graduate speaker. Rosalind Franklin University is proud to continue a tradition that incorporates an address by a current graduate. Please welcome Ria Bhaskar, a graduating student from Chicago Medical School.
Hello to my fellow graduates, our families and friends, the the Rosalind Franklin University community, and everyone who is watching this virtual commencement ceremony. Before I launch into my monologue, let me take this moment to reiterate how proud and honored I am to address you all today. To the class of 2020, although we are all sitting in front of screens instead of together in an arena, we should not let that diminish the joy and excitement of this day, of our graduation day. Giving this address is particularly important for me because I have my family here and watching it all across America, and I am so grateful to have them supporting me, so they can inevitably give me tips on improvement later. I remember telling my dad that I had been chosen as a finalist to be the speaker for commencement many months ago. His words of encouragement to me were, "Well, it better be something fantastic. But no pressure, right, Dad?" And so I thought about what I would want to hear on this day. I thought first about the overwhelming emotion I was feeling just thinking about commencement. And now that this day has arrived, I'm even more overwhelmed than I had imagined. The culmination of many years of prerequisites, countless hours of studies, and millions of tears is finally coming to a close. And what a closing act this has been, these last 3 months or so. We knew what was supposed to happen, or so we thought. Match day, job interviews, packing up and moving on to new adventures, weddings, graduation parties, and family reunions. And then coronavirus happened, and everything changed. I remember the heartbreak and tears I shed when I found out match day and commencement ceremonies were canceled. I was so upset at first, but out of that came the creativity to find innovative ways to celebrate. We had our first ever virtual match day. We had birthday parties over Zoom and meetings over Google Hangouts. And here we are today, scattered across the country, but together in this moment to celebrate this incredible milestone. It's important to remember that in these uncertain and ever-changing times, we have all come a long way to get to where we are now, even if it looks very different from what we imagined when we first set foot on campus. In fact, I remember my orientation here at RFU. I had just finished my white coat ceremony and had a lovely dinner with my family, when suddenly I found myself sobbing. Not like pretty tears, like Anne Hathaway. We're talking ugly crying. I was so distraught because I had met my peers and I was so sure that the school had made a mistake. Fast forward to now. Addressing you all today makes me wish I could go back and tell that scared girl that it was all going to be okay and that no one had made a mistake. The wonderful faculty at this institution bet on all of us, and today we get to see our hard work come to fruition. We couldn't have done it without them, or without the support of our wonderful families and friends. I'd like to close out my remarks by sharing some advice that has helped me tremendously over the years. When I was about 8 years old, my family moved from India to the United States. It was during this time that a cartoon movie about a little fish changed my life. My cousins and I went to a drive-in movie theater, a fascinating experience for a little girl coming from a place where these didn't exist, and we watched Finding Nemo. We watched the movie with our popcorn and our sodas, and as we were driving home that night, I found myself thinking about the one line that stuck with me more than most. Just keep swimming. What a simple concept. Through the good times and the bad, all you have to do is keep going. This sentiment from a fish named Dory has been my inner mantra for years, and right now, it feels particularly important. We are about to face healthcare during a pandemic, and though we may bring with us our fears, we also bring with us the courage to step up and do something. We have the power to affect so many lives, and I am proud of you all for the paths that you've chosen. As we are about to face the raging rapids of employment within the healthcare field, we have to keep swimming, keep moving, keep going. But we must also remember to make time for self-reflection and self-care, to be mindful of our own mental states and of those around us. The best part about healthcare is that it is a community. We don't have to do our work alone. we must also remain vigilant about our own mental and physical health, and that of our colleagues. We're about to join a segment of the workforce that carries an increased risk of employee burnout, a condition that puts careers and even lives at risk. Burnout has become a systemic problem for healthcare workers, and it is one that we must face head-on. We need the healthcare system to work with us to change this trend. This is a battle we must face because we need to be able to take care of ourselves and one another in order to be useful to our patients. We have worked our entire lifetimes for this moment, and I am in awe of each and every one of you. I am proud and excited to call you my colleagues and to collaborate with you to provide the best healthcare possible for our patients. Congratulations, class of 2020. I can't wait to see where you all swim off to next.
Thank you so much, Reha, for your presentation. It is now my privilege, on behalf of Rosalind Franklin University, to confer upon Michael Bly, PhD, RN, an honorary degree in recognition of his distinguished career in academic and health system leadership. He's internationally recognized for his expertise in nursing, health system, health policy, and for his own research and scholarship. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees and by the state of Illinois, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Warmest congratulations, Dr. Bly.
Thank you for letting me experience being with you today, as unconventional as it is. To my interprofessional colleagues graduating today, and to your family, friends, and of course the faculty who may be huddled together in whatever manner suits a quarantine, in my heart rests joy and professional pride in your achievements. Your intellect, persistence, courage, and social sensibilities deserve celebration. While this pandemic blocks a fabulous opportunity to meet you face to face, we are still spirit connected. We may have our differences for sure. Physicians may have some behavioral or intellectual proclivities that differ from those of, say, pharmacists or healthcare administrators or nurse anesthetists. There is still a connective tissue that binds us as we each find our niche in the world. Each program of study, each degree, reflects dedication to medicine in diagnosing, treating, and exploring new diagnostic and treatment options. Each professional degree represents the knowledge explosion of recent decades. Science undergirds each discipline, and each offers a needed voice in the patient, family, and population-centric art of caring. By now, you realize that a genomic view of life is crucial, and yet gene expressions links to the anticipatory experience of how the human existence is optimized. Is it your sense that Dr. Franklin would love the idea of interprofessional care teams? She would, it seems, advocate that interprofessional education and perspectives are needed not for the homogenization of the disciplines, but for the expansion of perspectives. I think she'd be awed by the quantity and quality of life that's possible in today's world. She would recognize the complexity of decision-making and realize that teams would act with singularity of purpose, with the patient, and not for or to the patient. She would recognize the need for genetic knowledge as inextricable to social and moral determinants of health, and how environmental triggers gene expression throughout the lifespan. I'm a nurse. I see many parallels between Rosalind Franklin and Florence Nightingale, such as their intellect, gender, impact, and social justice struggles for recognition. 2020 is the year of the nurse and midwifery, to coincide with the 200th birthday of Florence Nightingale. The World Health Organization has determined a need for 9 million more nurses to achieve universal health coverage by 2030. With the current pandemic, Will that number rise? In nursing, I represent a minority population. 11% of the discipline is male. All other health professions have neared gender parity. For 18 years, nursing has Gallup polled as the most ethical and honest of all professions, with engineering ranking a far distant second. As a nurse trained in the Nightingale tradition of holistic care, nurses are educated to care for individuals in the context of the family and in the context of the population or community. When Nightingale made her famous nightly rounds with her lamp among the soldiers of the Crimean War, who, by the way, cot to cot, would have covered 5.3 miles, she was known to write letters to the families of the dying, acknowledging the family and trying to diminish the anguish of psychological fear and elevate spiritual well-being. No stranger to disease and its treatment, Nightingale nurses were educated in medicine, but training went further. Perhaps it was the mortality rates that led her to realize that death is not a medical diagnosis. It is a human condition to dignify. Similarly, pain and other symptoms led the nursing model to focus on more than medical diagnoses, but also other human responses. As an epidemiologist and member of the American Statistical Association, she used health data to understand how physical and social factors influence an individual's health and even to demand public policy changes. Her coxcomb data visualization tool is being used in the current pandemic. I firmly believe that every discipline in the fields that comprise medicine has providers who are caring and holistic by their individual nature. But I also know that nursing as a discipline has formally trained and advanced its science through knowledge linked to medical diagnosis, human responses, and symptom management. Excellent nursing programs examine and create experiences in health promotion, disease prevention, and family and community strategies to move those ravaged by disease back into quality of life and daily living. In recent years, debate about advanced nursing roles, including the role of the nurse practitioners and others, like nurse anesthesia, have ensued. These roles have been developed through a nursing lens. They encompass medical knowledge, but also contextual knowledge that considers the family and the community. And these programs have a holistic orientation. So while treatment protocols for medical conditions are the same, evidence-based human response management complements medical approaches. I've often said medicine and nursing are the perfect marriage. Over 2 years of my life were spent working on the Institute of Medicine committee charged to envision the future of nursing. Led by now Congresswoman Donna Shalala, Shalala insisted that the report focus on what the public needs for their health and well-being. While the report addressed nursing's contribution to societal needs, it did not exclude other health professions. The call for interprofessional teams, interprofessional education, interprofessional practice is presented and supported by evidence in the report. So, with consideration to the IOM report, and as I've reflected on the current pandemic, I'm going to offer 5 maxims for you to consider as you launch your career. The first is that the public wants us well-educated and competent. Beyond academic pursuits, they want our disciplines to grow and our scopes of practice to be compatible with the changing and increasingly complex health conditions that impact the lives of society. I think lifelong learning should be replaced with the mantra, intentional learning, that spans the lifespan of a health professional. Specialists are needed, but always from the lens of systems thinking, addressing the upstream and downstream journey of the person's life we're treating. We never save an organ, we save a whole life. So intentional education reminds us of that. Second, please take over as leaders early in your career. Collectively, you represent a generation that has only known how small the world is. And so you are the teachers and sages to my generation. You understand the power of social networking and the use of technology. Don't deny your knowledge of new economy thinking. Mostly, you know the change you want to see happen, and you are intent on delivering it. So I admire your values and your intelligence, your engagement, and your passion for the planet. You instill hope for the world, so lead with that intention. Third, acknowledge that the public is afraid of healthcare. They come to us for care, but most worry about errors and safety. They are knowledgeable consumers who know that surgical amputation of wrong limbs happens, that blood transfusion and medication errors happen, and they know the power of the caustic yet curative treatments that we deliver as being high risk. So take the time to be vigilant advocates for healthcare improvement. Number 4, embrace polarity management. For as many solutions as you have in your bag of expertise as you graduate today, the world is filled with competing tensions. Cost and quality are polar. The need for public access to healthcare and balanced working hours for providers is polar. Balancing risk management over humanizing care can be polar. And in this pandemic, so is the polarity of caring for self and your family over what society needs us for and demands of us. So accept that the world is gray and that you will be tasked to live the values that your education has helped you evolve into. Don't fear the gray areas. Ride the surf to eradicate the tensions. And last, number 5, as Fred Rogers said, when I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. Similarly, Dr. Don Berwick developed his manifesto on quality and mercy. We join the likes of Franklin and Nightingale, who are calling us to be helpers. When we see intentional harm of people at any level, it cannot be ignored. Berwick contends there is no quality to what we do without compassion, justice, inclusion. We have a duty to protect the commons. It is not enough to bear witness. He says we must act. He calls these the moral determinants of health. As for actions, Berwick says we should strive to get our country to ratify major human rights treaties, to make healthcare an unequivocally human right in our nation, to restore American leadership to reverse climate change, to achieve reform of our nation's criminal justice system, to end policies of exclusion and achieve compassionate immigration reform, to end hunger and homelessness in our nation and restore order, dignity, and equity to our democratic institutions, assuring the right of every single person's vote to count equally. So in closing, I wish you well. With the education you've received at this university, I wish you the capacity to pursue your innermost purpose and goals. I wish you to work in organizations where you can influence its culture, but also one where you can immediately flourish. I wish you the opportunity to achieve a full scope of practice, commensurate with your knowledge, skills, and abilities. Otherwise, the human capital that you possess is being wasted. I wish you the ability to reinvent yourself within healthcare over our continuum of healthcare opportunities that exist today and will continue to grow. Mostly, I wish you a life of love and support, including those who celebrate with you this very day. And, quoting author Greg Boyle, I wish you, as Boyle says, a compassion that can stand in awe at what the poor have to carry, rather than stand in judgment at how they carry it. Be well, be safe, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bly, for your interesting and motivating address. You are an inspiration to all of us. It is now my great honor and pleasure to begin the conferral of degrees for our graduates. With the approval of the Board of Trustees of Rosalind Franklin University of Medicine and Science, and pursuant to the authority granted by the state of Illinois, I authorize the conferral of appropriate academic degrees upon the graduating class of 2020 in the College of Health Professions, the School of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, the Dr. William M. Scholl College of Podiatric Medicine, the Chicago Medical School, and the College of Pharmacy.
President Rowe, faculty and honored guests and loved ones, I hereby announce the commencement of the College of Health Professions. President Rowe, faculty and honored guests and loved ones, the students listed in the program for the degree of Master of Science have satisfactorily fulfilled the requirements of the College of Health Professions and have successfully completed their final examinations. Upon the recommendation of the graduate faculty, I present them for the degree of Master of Science in Pathologist Assistant Studies. On behalf of Dr. Rowe, the Board of Trustees, and by the state of Illinois, I confer upon you the degree of Master of Science with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. The pathologist assistant candidates will be recognized by Ms. Elizabeth Benton, Director of Clinical Education, Pathologist Assistant Department.
Audrey C. Alexander, Stephanie Barsuli, Heather Danae Blakely, Abby L. Bodecker, Anna Brereton, Anna R. Cameron, College of Health Professions Clinical Education Award recipient, Cameron Lynn Crocker, Deanne Adacia Cush, Molly Elizabeth DeZekin, Miriam Frommond, Danielle A. Frankie, Whitney Graves, Allison Gregg, Courtney Elizabeth Hahn, Elizabeth Ann Engel, Zahira Jadavji, the College of Health Professions Dean's Award for Scholarship recipient, Tyler Custer, Joel A. Lawrence, Autumn R. LaGrave, Allison N. Martino, Abigail Jane Mars, Alexandra Perez, Gemma Adi Rappaport, Kara M. Rathke, Lauren E. Ritzel, Regina Nicole Roberts, Jennifer Grace Sable, Tanya Cicerica, Jamie Lee Solemn, Osvaldo Rubenstein Excellence in Service Award recipient, Sarah Lynn Sundin, Sarah Margaret Filke, Taylor Ann Zetek,
Mr. Matthew Guerin, instructor in the Pathology Assistant Department, will now lead the clinical graduates of the College of Health Professions in reciting the Oath of Geneva.
Will the clinical graduates of the College of Health Professions please stand to recite the Oath of Geneva? As a member of a healthcare profession, I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of humanity. The health and well-being of my patient will be my first consideration. I will respect the autonomy and dignity of my patient. I will maintain the utmost respect for human life. I will not permit considerations of age, disease, or disability, creed, ethnic origin, gender identity, nationality, political affiliation, race, sexual orientation, social economic status, or any other factor to intervene between my duty and my patient. I will respect the secrets that are confided in me even after the patient has died. I will practice my profession with conscience and dignity in accordance with good practice. I will foster the honor and noble traditions of my profession. I will give to my teachers, colleagues, and students the respect and gratitude that is their due. I will share my knowledge for the benefit of the patient and the advancement of healthcare. I will attend to my own health, well-being, and abilities in order to provide care of the highest standard. I will not use my knowledge to violate human rights and civil liberties, even under threat. I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor.
The trustees and faculty of Rosalind Franklin University of Medicine and Science and all of our graduates join me in honoring their families and friends here today. While you no doubt feel great pride for all that your loved ones have accomplished, please do take a moment to acknowledge your own success for the role that you played in helping them realize their goals. For the personal sacrifices you have made along the way and the support you have given, we thank you and honor you with our applause. Congratulations, graduates. It brings me great joy to be able to share this special day with you, your families, and friends to celebrate your accomplishments. The world you are graduating into today looks much different than the way it looked when you started your studies, and our world is in need of your knowledge and skills, the knowledge and skills you've acquired during your time in school, more now than ever. As clinicians with graduate health sciences degrees, you learn not only how to care for your patients, but you've also learned why you care for your patients. For many of you, this has been a lifelong journey to use your talents and skills in the service of humanity, to relieve suffering, to comfort those in need, and to bear witness to the human condition. You have dedicated yourselves to a life of service to others, and there is no more noble calling or tradition than this. It is my greatest honor to share this day with all of you, and my sincere congratulations.